Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this forum as part of the OzAsia Festival. The subject is how we create an Asia-capable Australia.
I believe Asia is not a foreign place. It's not starting from 500 miles from Darwin. It's right here. It's right here that we are sitting here. Our friends, our neighbors, our people, our citizens, the people who run the states and the people who run this country are all here. Our food is all there. So we need to think that this is Asia. It's not that a foreign country that we have to learn and all of that.
Some of the discussion around this, I think, has been trammelled by some of the, as I said, the more difficult aspects of our history. And you can substitute the discussion about foreign investment to a discussion which occurred 150, 100 and whatever years ago about Chinese labour in this country.
That individuals need a sophisticated knowledge of Asian markets and environments. And of course that plays to the education theme starting early when we started this conversation. Secondly, extensive experience in operating in Asia, and that means actually living there and doing business within the Asian community. Long-term trusted Asian relationships. And we've heard this before, the nation of time takes a different dimension in the way in which Asians, I think about business, family relationships and relationships more generally. The ability to adapt behaviour to Asian cultural context, and we've heard a lot about that today, the significance of Asian culture in the way in which we do business. And it's not just all about language, it's about understanding what's said and how it's said and what sits behind it and so on. The capability to deal with government is very important through all of Asia. The relationship between government and business in Asia generally is deeper and different to what it is in other countries and Australia. And lastly, at the individual capabilities level, the usefulness of language proficiency, and we've talked enough about that here. The other 5 capabilities, or other 5 skills, if I could put it in that way, relate to organisations. And organisationally, leadership committed to Asia-focused strategy is critical. And the ANZ, I think, and Mike Smith in particular, probably needs to be lauded as someone that's adopted that role. Santos likewise has a very active presence and is demonstrating the leadership, and underneath that the training and support for it. Other organisational skills, customised Asian talent management. That is being able to work with the talent that's within one's organisation that is Asian, and be able to integrate that into a non-Asian workforce as well as the non-Asian workforce into Asia. So it's a two-way thing. Customised offering and value proposition based on customer insights. That's the ability to think deeply about the brand or your service operating, your service or whatever you're bringing to the marketplace in the region. Tailored organisational design and tendency to local autonomy, and this is important. You know, the old days of sending expats to represent you in Asia in a business sense have changed probably forever. The degree of skill, the training, the education that's available in the workplace in Asia to work with your businesses in Asia is now very substantial. And the last skill, if you like, is supportive processes to share Asian learnings. And here, it doesn't come naturally always for business to share its both successes and failures in dealing within Asian markets or within any markets. But to provide an opportunity in a way in which some of that knowledge can be shared around the business community and more broadly within the workplace in Australia, I think provides another skill and capability that would be important. So in thinking about what are these specific skills that Australia might need, and in this particular case the Australian workplace might need, here's an attempt to begin to think about 11 critical skills that are relevant.
Sometimes your most successful businesses that you create in an overseas environment is actually through your own national workforce in that country. You touched on that, Sid. Our largest overseas office happens to be in Indonesia. Our business in Indonesia is run by an Indonesian lady. And it's a very Indonesian orientated business. It certainly has some expatriates, probably 3%, so small, but it is a very Indonesian business. That would be the first point. That is really important. The second one is, when it comes to expatriates, there's probably no substitute for experience. As I said before, the oil and gas industry is a global industry. There are many people in the industry who've had lots of experience working in different countries. And with that comes some of the skills that you need to take into both Asia and indeed around the world. This is actually not a unique issue that's there in Asia. And so that plays an important part. But you don't always get that. Everyone has to start somewhere. And certainly what we do in Santos is before anybody goes on an overseas posting, one of the first things we will do is actually give the individual a self-assessment, which will actually try and assess their own skills as to what they actually need to develop to be successful in that environment. It will test things like emotional resilience, handling things in a very different way than you would do in your home country. And then you would give specific training to actually address that. And that would be coupled with some sort of knowledge, if you like, the culture, the language training as well. And we, in varying degrees, we do quite a bit of that before an individual goes overseas. And I think that's incredibly important. And that's the kind of practical piece that I think gets added to perhaps what Sid said.